Play it again. I found it at a thrift store, a beat up VCR with a worn tape already inside. It had my name on it, just my name, written in shaky red ink. I bought it. I had to. Curiosity wins every single time. When I got home, I had to see what was on this tape. I thought it would be interesting to see a home videotape with my name on it. I was a huge collector of old VHS tapes, and found it kind of comical to see a home video of someone else's life. How could someone just donate a tape to a thrift store? How could someone donate their own memories? With my palms sweaty, I pushed the tape into the VCR and hit play. Static. Nothing but static. And I was a bit disappointed. Pressing the fast forward button on the remote, I was eager to see what was on this damn thing. More static. I hit the play button with anticipation that something was on this tape. I heard faint humming, followed by a voice. My voice. Not recent me. Younger me. Okay, recording now. This is our new place. Say hi, baby. A woman laughed softly on the tape. Hi, baby. Hey, you sweet, handsome man, you. Will you marry me? It was my wife. But she died a few years ago. I listened harder. My voice kept talking, narrating things I didn't remember. Cooking dinner together, laughing at her when she slid on a patch of ice trying to get inside of her car, her singing in the background. She really tried to sing some Whitney Houston. It felt like a memory I wasn't a part of. Then the tone changed. I heard an argument, muffled shouting, something breaking. Why did you lie to me? Explain this other bank account to me, I screamed. Don't do this, she cried. A struggle, a thud, and then silence. And then the crying started even harder. It was still my voice. I didn't mean to. Oh God, what have I done? I paused the tape. My hands were shaking. I didn't remember this. None of it. Did I block this memory out? I hit play again, and the scene immediately switches. It's been 3 days. She's still in the tub. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop hearing her. I tried to stop the tape, but it kept playing. I know how this ends. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be with you again, Haley. I'll make this right, I promise. In the video, the camcorder drops to the ground, facing a chair as Leonard walks over to the chair and stands on it. Once he is on the chair, he kicks the chair from beneath him as he is suspended in air. Leonard desperately keeps hitting the stop button to stop playing the tape, but the tape keeps playing. Tears run down his cheeks as his vision blurs. He begins to cry even harder with his hands catching him as he falls to the ground. Unable to stomach what he just saw, he curls up in a ball on the living room floor. The office doors behind him open up slowly, revealing the same chair in the same room as the video. All my friends are here. It started with the drawings, crayon stick figures on printer paper. At first, nothing strange. Mom, Dad, a house with crooked windows and a sun too close to the roof. But then came the others, dozens of them, people Brittany didn't recognize, all smiling, all holding hands. Her son, Tyson, always in the middle. "Who are these people, baby?" Brittany asked, holding one up. The figure beside Tyson had no face, just a charcoal blur where his eyes should be. "They're my friends," Tyson said, not looking up from his coloring. "You met them at school?" He shook his head. "No, they're from here." Brittany frowned. "You mean the neighborhood?" Tyson paused. Then very softly, "They live in my room." She told herself it was his imagination. That's what kids do. Make up friends, give them silly names, talk to the walls. But it didn't stop. Each morning, more drawings appeared. Some stuck to the fridge, some tucked under her pillow. One, disturbingly, was slid under the locked bathroom door while she was showering. Each one showed new friends. A woman with no hands, a man with red scribbles for eyes, a little girl hanging from a crooked tree, and Tyson, always smiling between them. "Where did you learn this?" Brittany asked, kneeling beside him. "I didn't learn it," Tyson whispered. "They told me." "Told you what?" He looked up at her for the first time that day. "They said you don't remember them, but they remember you." That night, Brittany went through an old photo box, dusty and unmarked. She hadn't opened it since before Tyson was born. Inside were family photos. Her mother, her aunt, cousins she hadn't seen in years. She froze. One photo showed her and her brother, ages 5 and 7, standing in front of their grandmother's porch. Behind them, blurry but visible, was a man in overalls with red-tinted eyes. The same man Tyson had drawn 3 days ago. She didn't sleep. At 3:12 a.m., she heard laughter from down the hall. Soft, too soft for just one child. She opened Tyson's door. He sat on the floor, surrounded by drawings. The walls were plastered with them, dozens, maybe hundreds. Stick figures lined up shoulder to shoulder, stretching from floor to ceiling. Some wore dresses from another era. Some were missing limbs. One had no head. Tyson looked up at her and smiled. "They're excited to see you." Brittany's voice cracked. "Tyson, who are they?" He picked up his latest drawing and handed it to her. "You don't remember, but they were your friends too. From before." "Before what?" "Before you left them alone." Brittany looked down at the drawing. Her hand shook. It showed her as a child standing beside Tyson, and behind them, dozens of figures. One looked like her grandmother. One looked like her childhood neighbor, Mr. Jennings, who died in a fire when she was 10. Each one was smiling with blackened teeth. And at the very bottom, in Tyson's uneven handwriting, it read, "All my friends are here." Brittany dropped the drawing and backed out of the room. Tyson tilted his head. "Don't be scared, Mommy," he said. "They said they're taking you with us next time." The mirror. Harper had only been in the Airbnb for 3 days when she noticed the writing. Fog clung to the mirror after her morning shower, and through the steam, one word stood out. Hello? She paused, staring at it. Probably a leftover smudge from a previous guest. She wiped it clean with a towel and moved on. The next morning, another message. Don't go. This time, the letters looked newer, fresh. Harper frowned, wiped the mirror again, and checked the bathroom door to see if there was any draft or marking. Nothing. But on the 6th day, the message read, I'll watch over you. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't even showered yet. The mirror was fogged, but she hadn't turned on the water. This wasn't leftover condensation. This was written by someone. That afternoon, Harper stepped outside and found the neighbor watering her garden. Hi, Harper said. I'm, sorry to bother you. I'm renting the place next door, and I was just wondering if you knew anything about the last guest, or possibly the owner. The neighbor set the hose down very slow. Her eyes were sharp despite the crow's feet. You're staying in the Giddens place, she asked. Harper nodded. The woman's mouth tightened. Last girl who stayed there. Well, she didn't stay long. Said she felt like someone was watching her. Said she'd see things move when she was in the shower. She left in the middle of the night, just vanished. Never saw her again. Harper laughed nervously. Did she say what she saw? The neighbor stared for far too long. She said the mirror kept talking to her, would warn her of dangers if she left. Something about the mirror will watch over her. That night, Harper left the bathroom light on. At 3:16 a.m., she heard the shower running. She crept toward the door and slowly pushed it open. The mirror was fogged. Written in the steam, "Please help me." With her hands shaking, Harper reached up and noticed something odd. The mirror wasn't sealed flat against the wall. There was a tiny gap at the edge. She tried to slide a fingernail in the gap to pry it open. As she applied more pressure, her nail broke at the tip. Instantly feeling regret, she reached for her toothbrush to lodge it in the gap and pry it open. Behind the mirror was a shallow compartment, a ventilation shaft, a hole just wide enough for someone to fit through. This person would have to be extremely fit and skinny. Inside the vent was a small square of thin foam insulation pushed to the side, and beyond it, a blinking eye. She screamed and stumbled back, dropping the mirror, which shattered on the floor. By the time she looked up again, the vent was empty. Police arrived within the hour. They found a hidden crawl tunnel inside the walls of the house, narrow and old, likely built for wiring during the original construction. There were signs of someone living back there. A thin blanket, food wrappers, a flashlight, a worn notebook full of names. Harper's name was written on the last page. They never found whoever was hiding there. Harper moved out that same night, drove without stopping, left everything behind. 6 weeks later, the next guest checked into the Airbnb, a young woman with a backpack and a bright smile. She took a shower, enjoying the peace and quiet, stepped out, reached for a towel, and paused. The new mirror the owner had installed was already fogged, and written across the glass, "Hello." Just whistle. Jason wasn't worried until he realized the trail was gone. He followed it all day, weaving through the Appalachian forest like a thread in a tapestry. But when the sun dipped behind the hills, everything changed. The trees grew dense, the air chilled, and the trail markers, gone. Every last one of them. He backtracked, turned, circled a tree. Nothing. The woods were too quiet. He checked his phone. No signal. Of course there would be no signal. But as he lowered it, he saw something carved into the trunk of a pine. "If you're in trouble, whistle." The message looked fresh, knife marks still clean, bark still weeping sap. Jason blinked. Was this a part of the trail system? A ranger code? The sun was nearly down. His chest tightened. Every instinct told him not to stay out here in the dark. So he brought his 2 fingers to his lips and whistled once. Short and sharp. Then there was silence. Then, from deep in the woods, someone whistled back. Jason turned, heart racing. "Hello?" No answer. He whistled again. The same reply came back, a little closer. Same pitch, same rhythm. A copy. "Hey," he shouted. "Who's there? I'm Jason. I need help." Silence again, then mimicking his exact tone. "Can you help me?" Jason took a step back. The voice was his. He started walking, faster now, towards what he thought was north. The trees blurred, every branch looked like a claw, every shadow moved too much. Behind him, something whistled again, twice. Then it laughed. His laugh. He broke into a run. Branches tore at his arms. His backpack snagged, but he didn't stop. The forest closed in like a trap. He couldn't hear birds, bugs, anything. Just the pounding of his heart and the crunch of the leaves behind him. And then the voice again. "Help, I'm lost." Still his voice, but closer. He tripped over a root and slammed into the dirt. As he scrambled up, he saw another carving in a tree. "Don't whistle back." Beneath it, etched in shaky lines, "It doesn't know your name if you stay quiet." Jason's blood ran cold. He heard it again, his own voice, right behind him. Jason. He didn't breathe, he didn't move. His own voice whispered again, softer now. "Jason, please help me." A mimic, that's what it was. Something old, something inhuman. He squeezed his eyes shut and covered his ears. Footsteps circled him. Then right beside his ear, "Jason." A branch snapped, a gasp, a voice, his mother's voice this time. "Sweetheart, come home." He bit his lips so hard it bled. The footsteps faded. When he opened his eyes, he was alone again. Morning came slowly. The sun burned away the mist. Jason found a ranger station not far off the trail. They gave him water and called him lucky. He said that hikers get turned around all the time. Jason didn't argue, but as they loaded his pack into the truck, the ranger frowned. "You carved this?" he asked, pointing to Jason's whistle warning. He shook his head. "No, it was already there." The ranger glanced toward the trees. "That's funny. We don't allow carving on this part of the range." Jason looked at the park ranger with confusion and asked if he could get a ride to his car. He just wanted to be done with everything. As they drove away, Jason looked out the window as he heard a whistle. Identical to his own, only it didn't come from the forest. The Piper. The villagers whispered about the cave at the edge of the forest, its entrance hidden behind a thick curtain of vines and roses. No one knew how deep it went or where it led. Some said it was endless, a tunnel in the darkness that swallowed the light and anything foolish enough to enter. But all agreed on one thing: the cave was cursed. It had been years since anyone approached the cave, but that was before the Piper came to town. He was a strange man, draped in a long coat, his eyes dark and hollow. An eerie grin stretched from ear to ear as he walked with his head down. He carried a wooden flute, weathered with age and its surface carved with strange symbols that no one could recognize. The first time he played it, the villagers stopped in their tracks, mesmerized by the haunting melody. It was unlike any music they had ever heard, sweet and sorrowful, as if it carried the weight of lost souls. The Piper set himself up near the village square, playing his flute for hours with no end in sight. The music echoed through the streets, drawing people from their homes, compelling them to listen. Soon, they couldn't get enough. Children, farmers, merchants, they all gathered around him, enchanted by his haunting melodies. But as the days passed, people began to disappear. The first was a young boy named Tomas, who wandered away after dark, his eyes glazed over, as if he was in a trance. His mother searched the village high and low, calling his name until her voice cracked, but he was never to be seen again. Then it was the baker's daughter, Isabella, who vanished without a trace. Panic swept through the town, and suspicions grew. The Piper never stopped playing. One night, after the village had been ravaged by fear, a group of men confronted him. They demanded answers, their voices of anger and terror. The Piper only smiled, his fingers never leaving the flute. "Why have you come?" one of the men shouted, brandishing a knife. "What have you done with our children? Answer us, you foul beast." The Piper's melody changed, growing even darker and far more sinister. The man holding the knife slowly put the knife up to his own neck, stiffened as if a spell had been cast over him. The other men started swaying back and forth, waiting for the next command. He brought the flute back up to his lips, the wood cold as bones. Then came the note, B3, impossibly low, a breath of sound that barely touched the edge of hearing. It didn't sing. It growled, hollow and ancient. Without a word, They turned and began walking toward the forest. The other villagers watched in horror as the piper led the men away, his flute never skipping a note. They followed him into the woods, through the dense trees, and toward the cave. The music echoed off the trees. The men didn't hesitate. They stepped into the mouth of the cave, disappearing into the blackness void. The piper followed them, his flute still playing its haunting tune and melody. The last notes drifted out of the cave before fading into complete silence. No one dared to go after them. The next morning, the village was quiet. Too quiet. The piper and the men were gone, swallowed by the darkness of the cave. Over time, the villagers forgot their names, forgot the music, and whispered of a curse that lived deep within the earth. But sometimes, on a windy night, they would hear the low growl of his melodies, the faint echo of a flute, calling to anyone brave enough or foolish enough to listen. My family lives in pods. Sorry I'm late, guys. I got caught up in a K-drama, I say, joining my family on our daily face chat. I look at my monitor. It's on Brady Bunch mode, so I see my family's faces in stacked screens. I'm in the lower left. How was day 66 for everyone? I ask them. I don't want to eat this stuff anymore. Lon, my 10-year-old says. I know it's not great, but it has all the nutrients we need to wait out the catastrophe, my husband adds. When can we get out of these pods? It feels like a coffin, says Min, my 9-year-old. I look at her sternly. Have you been reading those scary stories again? I ask her. She gets nightmares. She knows she's not supposed to. Well, Lon sends them to me. You traitor! You tattletale! Lon shouts. Suddenly, my screen goes black, then flashes red. Important message. Payment declined. Thank you for using Undead Shield, Earth's leading pod family survival service. We regret to inform you that your recent subscription upgrade payment was declined due to insufficient or expired resource credits. To preserve essential uplink functionality, your account will now revert to Tier 3, Kin Preservation. This tier supports up to 3 nodes. Current active nodes? 4. Please select one node for disconnection. Disconnection protocols are irreversible as outlined in your Terms of Survival agreement. You may opt in a randomized selection by remaining silent for 60 seconds. I froze. There wasn't an option to speak with someone. Payment declined. We had this set up in advance. This was a mistake. It had to be. The countdown timer began to flash. 30 seconds to random. I keep searching the screen for a translucent X or a back arrow. No matter how many times I search, I don't see one. 20 seconds. I can't let my family die. I try to press my icon. Cannot select user. I try again. Invalid choice. Cannot select primary user. 10 seconds. What's going on, baby? Your feed cut out. My husband sends a little heart chat bubble on my screen. I type out, I love you, and send it. 4 seconds. I see those little moving dots. He's replying. He doesn't know what's coming. I hope the girls don't see. I press my husband's icon. Proceeding termination. The dots stop. Retrying payment for Tier 3. I turned down my damper to listen to the rotten world outside my pod, hoping to hear him run to survive the onslaught of the dead. His pod opens. I hear his confusion. He scrambles over to my pod and starts to bang on it. I can't hear what he's saying, but he's scared. Soon I hear his tone change to an agonizing scream. Then, silence. My screen comes back up. My girls are still fighting. Where did Daddy go? Oh, honey, My screen goes black, then flashes red. Important message. Payment declined. The coughing passenger. The night train swayed gently as it pulled out of the central station. I sank into one of the sideways seats, wedging my backpack between my legs, exhaustion pressing down like a second body. That night, I was just another sweaty backpacker, dragging myself back to my outer suburb budget hotel after museum hopping in the city. Opposite of me sat a stiff older woman with tightly pulled hair and a weathered handbag clenched in her lap. She hadn't moved since I boarded. Beside me, a frail old man with oversized sunglasses clutched a white cane between his knees. Tiring day, the old man broke the silence as the train stopped for a transit. He probably sensed it from my labored breathing. "Yeah," I said, offering a polite smile. "Back to the hotel." Business trip?" "No, solo traveler. Just finished a city tour." He nodded, jittery. "Next stop's far?" "Yeah, 5 stops from here." He leaned back and sighed, as if my answer had brought a comfort to him. The woman across from us glanced up, frowning, then returned to her silence. Moments later, the train door slid open and a large man entered. He wore a fur-lined coat and sunglasses, even at night. Tattoos crawled up his neck. He just dropped into the empty seat beside me. The train moved once again. Not long after, the old man beside me began coughing. I turned to him startled. "You okay?" He answered with an awkward nod, and I offered him some water. The coughing stopped. I leaned away, wondering if he was allergic to the man's fur coat. I turned to the woman, who was staring at us with an annoyed face. After 2 minutes, the old man started coughing again, now heavier and faster. I glanced across at the woman again, and then she snapped. "I knew it," she shouted, standing abruptly and pointing at my face. "You've been staring at me, right? What's your problem?" "What?" I blinked. "Ma'am, I didn't even do anything." "You did," she snapped. "You've been eyeing me since you got on." Within seconds, the conductor appeared. He listened to her tirade, then glanced at me like I was just another train creep. Then he said, "This is a quiet carriage, so both of you, please get off at the next station." Protesting didn't help. 5 minutes later, we got kicked out. I stood with the woman on the empty platform. "What the hell was that?" I barked. "I didn't do anything." She was calm now. "Sorry I made a scene, but I had to get us off that train." "What? Why?" She looked me in the eye. "When the guy in the coat entered, that old man started coughing, remember?" "Yeah, but you assumed it was because of me staring at you." "No," she interrupted, grabbing my hands. "Listen, I worked with radio operators in my youth." I paused. "That wasn't coughing," she said. "It was Morse code for 5 stops. Easy targets." A nap saved my dad's life. For months, all my dad could talk about was his upcoming trip to LA, how excited he was to see the Hollywood sign, the burger he was going to order from In-N-Out, Lakers this, Clippers that. But when the day finally came and he was supposed to leave for LA, my dad missed his flight. He lied down for a nap and slept through his alarm. The plane went down somewhere over Salt Lake City. Mechanical failure. Over 147 casualties. No survivors. Initially, I thought my dad was on the plane. He had been hyping it up non-stop for so long that I was sure there was no way he'd have missed his flight. You can imagine my surprise when he texted me that he was fine. He took his sweet time too. I believed he was dead for almost 2 days before he shattered the illusion. I was halfway through planning his estate when he said that it wouldn't be necessary. Still, I said we should meet up at his place so I could see how he was doing. He had almost died after all, and I was sure he was probably a bit shaken. I feel great. Or not. That's good to hear, Dad, I said. Sorry your trip to LA didn't work out. I know you were looking forward to it. Nah, I never cared much for LA. I just wanted to go to make you jealous. Asshole. He knew that going to LA had always been my dream. Seeing the Walk of Fame, getting a hot dog at Dodger Stadium, all of it. Mine. Well, I'm lucky you didn't invite me then. I'd be flat as a pancake somewhere near Salt Lake. I did invite you, he smiled. I just didn't offer to pay for it. That's my dad for you. I'll never understand why rich people are so stingy with their money. He could have made lifelong memories with his daughter, and it would have cost pennies to him. But then I wouldn't learn the value of $1. And I'd have joined you, I responded, if I could have afforded it. I'll never understand why your generation is so lazy. It's my fault for not teaching you the value of hard work. Why don't I get us a cup of coffee? I interjected. You still take it black? He nodded, and I went to the kitchen. I poured us both a cup of coffee, and then I poured a little something extra into my dad's. Hopefully he wouldn't notice how bitter it was in the strong coffee. If only he knew exactly how much I valued hard work. After all, it wasn't easy getting a part-time job at the airport or befriending the janitors, mechanics, and pilots. It was very hard getting in and out of the plane without anybody noticing, and even harder to set it all up to look like an accident. All to be thwarted by a goddamn nap. The decision. The Sophie platform was a lifesaver for mothers. It was a custom AI nanny, more like HAL 9000 than Robo Mary Poppins. The algorithm made decisions for you. Decisions like, do I need to see a specialist about my kid's developmental progress? Or, according to closely monitored biomarkers, is this a basic cough or a hospital visit? Sophie was the future. Jesus, Marie, stop, Caroline said, laughing. This is a book club, not a paid infomercial. There was a crash from the kitchen. The twins, Emily and John, were both 4 years old and full of mischief. When Marie arrived on the scene, they were standing in front of an upturned bottle of milk. Whose idea was this? John wore a perpetual cheeky grin, whereas Emily, holding a teddy bear, looked down disconsolately. Sophie, Marie said into empty space, reduce John's screen time by 1 hour. It's not fair, the boy pouted. It was her idea. Trouble always finds you, John. Marie returned to her friend. As part of child support, we should receive Sophie AI Premium. Deadbeat men ushering in their replacements. The two women laughed merrily. Sophie also took the kids to preschool because the makers operated autonomous vehicles. And then Marie got the call. There's been an accident. Emily was lying upright in the hospital bed, but there was no sign of John. Marie lost it. Where is he? I'm sorry, Mrs. Peyton. Your son is dead. When Marie came to, the doctor, part of the Sophie AI medical division, was gone. A sharply dressed man in a suit remained. I'm Mr. Lake. I work for the Sophie Corporation. How? How did this happen? A drunk driver in a non-autonomous car. But the software, Sophie, she could have saved them. The man paused. We have the data analysis from the car, and it indicates Sophie performed well. Performed well? My son is dead, Marie replied, breaking down once again. And your daughter is alive. The system didn't have time to save both, so it swerved left, and the right side of the car was destroyed. The side with your son. A fucking software does not get to decide which of my children dies. No, you decided that, Mrs. Peyton. Excuse me? I'm sorry, nothing. No, tell me, you piece of shit. The man nodded, as if to say, so be it. Sophie, the algorithm, built a composite of you. You studied at Barnard, wrote your dissertation on Judith Butler, and you spent 3 hours more searching girls' names than boys when pregnant. How dare you? I love my kids equally. Lake smoothly went on. Your blood shows a 24% cortisol spike when around John. Your pupils are dilated 10% when addressing Emily. You have 27 more selfies with your daughter. The exec readjusted his tie before continuing. I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Peyton, but we'll argue in court that this wasn't Sophie's choice. It was yours. Baby, I shrunk your kids. This could be an opportunity, I say gently, for us to start fresh, no complications, no noise. Any problem we have, we can just shrink away. She starts sobbing. You were supposed to watch them. If they were too much, you could have called me at the diner. They love you like a father. But I'm not their father. I'm their mom's boyfriend. More sobbing. I started to think she'll never understand. Okay, fine, I exhale, resigning myself to a destiny of loneliness. You want the truth? I told them to get off the platform. They ignored me, kept shoving, yelling, some stupid fight that didn't matter. Get off of there, you guys, I said again. Nothing. Like I wasn't even there. Get off now. It's time for me to test it. They looked at me just for a second, then kept going. That's when I knew it wasn't just noise anymore. It was defiance. I keep going. Damn it now, I yelled. Gordon flipped me off. I didn't even know 11-year-olds knew how. That was it. I'd had enough. I turned the key and flipped the switch. I felt justified. The shock in her eyes could have powered a city. You tested it on them? on human beings. I told them, you're going to give them to me. Then we're going to the police. Where are they? She says, her voice venomous. They're on the platform. They haven't moved from the X. She runs to the X, scanning it. I don't see them. Buy the tape. Keep looking. I turn the key. My new life starts here. I give her a final look. Bye, baby. I flip the switch.